All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Potential Project, where we find out what it takes to unlock your full potential in every area of life. Welcome back to another Tuesday. And today I have a fun episode because this is something that we all deal with every single day. It's impacting our lives more than we might think. So imagine you had a pill that could help you burn fat, help you build muscle, help you have a better energy, help you be in a better mood, help you have better cognitive function, and tons of other things, right? And it was free. What if I could tell you it was free? Well, the answer is there is one, and it's called sleep. And that is what we're going to talk about today. Now, I think that sleep is very fascinating, and I think that it's being heavily studied now, but it has been overlooked for years and years and years because the data that I get and that I'm researching and hearing about is some of it's old, but some of it's new. Like people are really diving into how important sleep is and the factors that cause us to have bad sleep and what could cause us to have good sleep. And we're going to go over some of that today. But I just want to start by saying that we could probably talk about sleep for, a whole week. So I'm going to try to do my best to keep this to a specific category of improving sleep. And then we can touch on it on different episodes and in different ways. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can have that conversation then. But let's just start by rolling off some of the benefits of quality sleep. Now we're talking like about 8 hours, right? That's the roundabout number that gives you the best quality of sleep. And the reason we've come up with 8 hours is we sleep in cycles of 90 to 110 minutes, right? You fall asleep, you go down into a cycle, and to get back up to the top, it's about 90 minutes. And we go through about 4 to 5 of those a night. So that's where we're getting the math of 8 hours of sleep. It's not just like someone threw a number at the wall. But when you get that amount of sleep, it typically yields you the best results if you're doing all the things that we're going to talk about today in ways to optimize it. But back to my point, there are benefits of good quality 8 hours of sleep, such as so sleep is an anabolic process, which means it builds up your body. So when you're sleeping, you are restoring a ton of different functions, a ton of different organs, muscles, tissues, and actually detoxifying your brain as well. So it builds up your body versus catabolic things like exercise that tear down your body, right? Another thing that happens is human growth hormone. It's a hormone that is released. It goes in and repairs your organs, your bones, and your muscles. So that happens when you're sleeping. Your memory is enhanced, right? When you're when you're sleeping, you're able to restore your memory and filter at your brain literally filters out all the stuff that doesn't matter and gets rid of that, right? It deletes it. It improves your immune function, right? It's going and again building up your body, restoring all of your vitamins, your minerals, all that stuff is being restored so that your body can improve at a high level, right? Your energy is improved, right? If we're resting, we should have higher energy. And serotonin is released, which maintains the well-being of your brain. Now, that was just a very short list of, I'm telling you, a laundry list of things that happen when you're getting good quality sleep that is going to improve your overall life, right? Not just things for weight loss and higher energy, but tons of other things like getting rid of chronic diseases or preventing the chronic diseases. Um, there's tons of things that happen while you're sleeping. Now, there's harms of the lack of sleep, right? So the first thing is the opposite of all of the things that I just listed off. So like your memory decreases, your immune function goes down, your energy is decreased, your the all the good hormones that get released are not releasing as much or if at all. So the opposite of all the benefits are what happens when you're at a lack of sleep. It's been proven that a certain amount of time of sleep deprivation is equivalent to being drunk. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but I sure have gone on a couple days of not good sleep or very little sleep, and you feel like you shouldn't be driving a car, right? You're dozing off. You're it's shown up for me in like learning opportunities, right? If I'm reading a book or trying to do something online, I'll get through reading a page or something, and I didn't retain any of that information. So you really feel the effects when you're not sleeping well. Some other things that happen, the hormone leptin, which is the satiety hormone, it decreases, which means if you're not sleeping, you're going to feel hungry, right? And you may have experienced this too. I know on days where like I'm just not as energized, right? Like you feel like you need a snack, right? Because you're just like, let me eat a granola bar or something to get my energy right. And then also, in addition to the leptin, your hormone ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, increases. So it's like a double whammy. Like you're feeling more hungry and you're not being as satiated at the same time. So we need to get our sleep, right? If you're fully rested, then you're going to eat foods with proper nutrients and feel full from them. But sometimes if you're beat down tired and your body hasn't done the processes that it needs to do while you're sleeping, you might be eating food, but you're like, wow, I need something else to keep me awake here, to keep me alive. And that's where we turn to things like coffee or energy drinks. And we know how that can happen, right? You're 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee deep and a Red Bull, and all you did was spike your cortisol and make things even worse for yourself. So again, like I said, we could talk about sleep all day long. I just wanted to emphasize that there are tons of benefits that happen with sleep, and there are a lot of things that negatively impact your health and your quality of life if you're not getting your sleep. So all of that was just to say we need to prioritize our sleep. We make plans to go out with friends, we make plans to go to the gym, we schedule in meetings, we do a lot of things in our life that we schedule, we prep for, we take a lot of time, energy, and money for. But one thing that we just let go by the wayside, I feel like, is sleep, right? I'm not telling you you need to go spend extra money and buy all these fancy gadgets to get good sleep. But I think we're so used to doing it because we do it all the time that we're just like, oh, I just go to bed at nighttime. Well, it's not as simple as that. And hopefully, by being enlightened and understanding that there are so many beneficial things to getting quality sleep, we can take some steps in a forward direction, and you'll see the benefits of that pretty quickly, right? Like a couple good nights of good quality sleep might, change your whole life, right? Change your whole attitude. You show up to work more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You're no longer taking a nap in the afternoons. You're no longer snacking on extra things throughout the day just to get you by, right? So, the things that we're going to talk about today are based upon our circadian rhythm. So, if you don't know what your circadian rhythm is, it's your body's 24-hour cycle, and it governs the timing of many of its behavioral, physiological, and metabolic functions. So, things like your sleep wake cycle, like when should I be awake and when should I be asleep? And that might sound silly, but your body knows what type of clock it needs to be on. As humans, we are diurnal people. We are diurnal beings, which means we sleep at night. We are awake during the during the daytime, and your body knows that its circadian rhythm is set to wake us up when it's daytime, which is great, right? Another thing with your circadian rhythm that does is it structures your hormone release of things like cortisol, melatonin, and HGH. So, for example, cortisol is highest about 30 minutes after you wake up. And I'm pretty sure cortisol is what actually wakes you up. So, in the morning hours, when the light starts to come out, cortisol starts to get higher in your body, which will spike higher heart rate, things like that, to actually wake you up. So, if you didn't have an alarm clock and there was no sun beaming through your window to wake you up, cortisol would wake you up. And then it's about highest 30 minutes after you wake up, and then slowly should decrease throughout the day, leading for you to fall back asleep at nighttime. Now, that's a whole nother discussion with people having their cortisol all out of whack. Melatonin, right? That's the hormone that's released at nighttime to signal your body to wind down and go to sleep, right? So, a few hours before you would go to bed, melatonin slowly starts to release in your body, calming you down, relaxing your nervous system, and allowing you to fall into a sleep, which gets interrupted by tons of things like screens, caffeine, workouts, things like that, right? It regulates your body temperature, right? Your body temperature gets higher and lower throughout the day, and changes at nighttime. Now, typically, to get a proper night's sleep, your core body temperature should be warmed up, right? So, what you want to do, or what you want to do is, stumbled on my words there, is have your room at a colder temperature. Like you may have heard that, like put an AC in your window, or if you have central air, you want to turn that down at nighttime so that you can heat up your internal body temperature, and get to sleep. Now, it's going to adjust throughout the night. And to get to sleep, actually, you need to cool it down, right? That's why warm baths at nighttime are good, because if you heat up your external body temperature, it's going to cool down your internal temperature, and you need to keep it that at that level while you sleep. That's why you put on the air conditioner. It's going to manage your glucose and insulin levels, so blood sugar levels throughout the day. Your circadian rhythm is in charge of cardiac and lung function, and tons of more things, right? So your circadian rhythm is very, very important. Now, it also runs off of a schedule. Us as humans, we get, in our traits, in our schedules, things that are repeatable so that we don't have to think, and we just kind of do it automatically, right? Like if you do the same thing at the same time every day, your body kind of knows and gets prepared for that. So I'll give you an example. If you work out at 7 o'clock in the morning every single day, your body starts to understand, like, wow, they're kind of exerting me and pushing me a lot at this time. I need to go give the person more energy. So your body knows, hey, at 7 a.m., we need to be high energy. So let's say you did that for a long time, and then all of a sudden there's one day you don't work out at 7 a.m. You're probably going to be high alert and high energy at 7 a.m. because your body is used to giving it the energy that it needs at 7 a.m., which is pretty cool. So, knowing what we know about how the circadian rhythm works, and that humans hugely thrive off of us being on schedules and routines, the question is, what is the schedule? What are the routines? What are the habits that we can put in place to optimize your circadian rhythm, which then optimizes your sleep? So, when it comes to getting good sleep at nighttime, you might not have thought of this, but it all starts in the morning, right? As soon as you wake up, you need to set the stage for the rest of the day leading into your sleep. So something that you can do is get light, right? Preferably sunlight, but let's say you wake up before the sunlight, like turn the overhead lights on, um, and get outside in some sunlight as soon as you can, right? 2 to 10 minutes of sunlight, walk the dog, go outside with your cup of coffee, whatever it is, like get some sunlight. Um, then you can exercise early in the day, right? Not only is exercise like you're forcing yourself to have higher energy, but you're utilizing that higher cortisol, which is spiked in the morning as well. So if you have higher cortisol and you're using it, you're going directly in correlation with your circadian rhythm and the way it works. So if at nighttime, think about this, if at nighttime your circadian, or sorry, if your cortisol is supposed to be lower and exercise is something that spikes it, and you're doing that at nighttime, you're kind of throwing it off of its rhythm, right? So working out in the morning is preferable to at nighttime for a good night's sleep, right? And like I said before, it also sets the tone for, hey, if we work out around this time every single day, your body's used to being higher energy and awake. So some other things we can do. We can cut caffeine about 10 hours before you go to bed. Now, everybody metabolizes coffee differently. So I can't say for you specifically that this is exactly perfect, right? You might be someone who can drink a cup of coffee a little later in the afternoon, but just for a roundabout number, and to be safe. Caffeine takes about 10 hours to cycle through your body. So if you give yourself 10 hours before bed of your last caffeinated beverage, then you should be good to have that fully out of your system and you can fall into a good night's sleep. Another thing you can do is cut food 3 to 4 hours before bed. So while we're sleeping, your body is in rest and digest, right? It needs to be able to digest food. It needs to be able to do all those things that I said in the list above, where it's going and healing your body. And if it's focused on burning food and digesting food, well then it's going to mess with its ability to do all of those other things. And you don't want heavy food sitting in your stomach anyway when you're trying to sleep. So try to give yourself 3 to 4 hours prior to bedtime to eat food. Now, if you're someone like me where my schedule kind of pushes me back, I just do my best, right? I do my best to not eat a huge dinner and things that are going to spike, any type of alertness or any crazy foods at nighttime before bed. Another thing you can do is to, well, not drink alcohol at all. But if you're going to have an alcoholic drink, try to do it earlier before bed is better, and have it with food, right? Because sugar, the alcohol metabolizes into sugar very quickly. So if you pair it with a protein or some food, it's going to help that in your blood system. But overall, I mean, the effects of alcohol on sleep are pretty negative. Um, so if you're looking for top notch sleep and you're really struggling, alcohol would be one of the biggest things and easiest things that you can cut out. And when I say easiest, I don't mean it's easy for you to stop drinking. I'm just saying it's cut and dry. It's just like, hey, no more alcohol. And then another thing is to shut down screens about 1 to 2 hours before bed. Luckily, phones have like a night mode where they can turn the hue a little bit lower, get that blue light out of there. Most houses, if you don't have them, you might have a dimmer switch, right? You can turn down your lights to a lighter hue on the ceiling. Um, and if you can, like I said, I mean, turn off the TV, turn off your phone, like get off of those screens, read a book, have a conversation with somebody. I don't know, meditate, right? There's a lot of things that you can do to wind down in that 1 to 2 hours prior to bed that isn't a screen. But if you're going to watch TV, you can always do the blue blockers. That helps with eliminating the blue light, which stimulates, it stops the melatonin from happening. So, like I said, when you're getting ready for bed throughout later in the day, your melatonin spikes up to allow yourself to get good sleep. Well, when you're looking at these screens, what it does is stops the release of melatonin, right? So that's going to inhibit you from falling asleep at a normal pace or, for a while and getting into deep restorative sleep. So try to turn the screens off, put on your blue blockers, put your phone on night mode, or turn them off. And then one last thing that I want to talk on about the circadian rhythm is the sleep timing, your sleep schedule, right? Going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, even on weekends and holidays. This is important because, like I said, our bodies are used to routine. So if your body knows, okay, I wake up at 6 a.m. every single day, right? Sometimes it's darker, sometimes it's lighter, but you wake up at 6 a.m., you go to bed at 10 a.m., or sorry, 10 p.m. That's 8 hours, right? That means your body gets in such a routine of saying, okay, I'm going to start to wind down. I know I need to release the melatonin a few hours before 10 p.m. because that's when they go to bed. And the cortisol also starts to spike around 6 a.m. because it knows that you're waking up around that time. Whereas if your schedule is all over the place, like one day you woke up at 6, next day you slept until 10, the other day you're waking up at 4, like who knows? Like it's all over the place. Same thing with when you're going to bed. Like one night you're going to bed at 10, another night you're staying up till 2 a.m. That is giving such mixed signals to your circadian rhythm and all of its properties, right? Releasing those hormones, and doing the things that it needs to do to prepare you for optimal sleep, right? So if you're not doing your due diligence to get a normal routine of, hey, I'm in bed at this time and I'm waking up at this time, fairly consistently, well, you're going to suffer with a lot of fatigue and a lot of issues with getting good quality sleep. So again, I just wanted to stick to the circadian rhythm side of things and the steps that you can do throughout the day, starting first thing in the morning with getting that light, and then easing your way throughout the day to cut caffeine, cut food, cut alcohol at certain times throughout the day to prepare yourself for a good night's sleep. Now, of course, there's other things like having a dark bedroom and having it cold in there, and we'll go further into those topics in another episode. But I hope that you guys can see that all of the stuff that I talked about today was literally free. It didn't cost any extra money or really any extra time. It's just an awareness of your schedule and how you can tweak it a little bit. Like, hey, maybe you do have time to eat dinner a little bit earlier. Maybe you do have the time in the morning to go let the dog out and stay out there and get some sunlight, or dim your lights at nighttime. That's a huge one. You want to simulate what the sun does. So if the sun is going down, you want more orange lights, red lights, and have them at a lower hue rather than be bright and above. Like right now, the lights are very bright and they're above my head. That tells my body that it's daytime, right? So if I'm doing that at 10 p.m. when I'm trying to go to bed, your body's like, what's going on here? I thought it was daytime. Like I'm not ready for bed yet. So you can see how these things can make a huge impact. So if you guys are enjoying this, if you got any type of information that you like, please share the episode, send this to a friend, put it on social media, or just give me some feedback so I know what are the things that you're learning and you want to hear about. And I'll be sure to get some good guests on here to talk about these topics as well. So until next time, guys, go be great.